Yeah, the first guy that you showed, I thought he was talking about Al Sharpton for a minute there. You know, we shouldn't even degrade the title. We shouldn't degrade the title of pastor upon this guy. He doesn't read from the same Bible that I do. He's the one that's sowing seeds of hate and division in this country. Look, I never met Charlie Kirk, but you don't have to have met somebody to know about them. I followed him for a long time. Charlie Kirk is a good man. He doesn't need me to testify to that. However, people that know him know better. And one of the things that's interesting is when they start to label you as a racist, and their favorite ones, the left I'm talking about, the American left, their favorite ones are racist, Nazi, and fascist. If you get smeared by one of those things, you know what? That means you're over the target. They've done the same thing with Donald Trump. They've even tried it with me, but it doesn't work. Charlie would give you the shirt off his back, from what I understand. And like I said, you don't have to have known him personally. There are a lot of people in history and in the Bible I've never met, but I know about them, and I put Charlie Kirk right up there with them.
Yeah, you should see what the left-wingers say about your liberty-loving Latino here. By their own standards, they're racists. By their standards, you know. I just look at it as criticism, you know, I don't take it personally. You know, in my view, Sheriff, this fake charge of racism is just the left's way of normalizing the practice of killing their opponents. This is the MO of leftists throughout human history. What do you think?
Yeah, you foment hate and anger, and they know that. It's dog whistle for a lot of the crazies on their side who then act on this stuff. We saw that in Butler, Pennsylvania. We've seen that in other instances where they're left-wing crazies, and that's who they're talking to, will take that as a battle cry and go out and try to do harm to a particular target. And it appears so far that that's what happened here, happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, happened to other instances against not just President Trump, but others as well. So I'm afraid that it's probably going to continue because the left knows exactly what they're doing. This is what they want. This is their objective. They won't say it. All their calls for toning it down and all this other stuff is just rhetoric. That's empty rhetoric. That's all it is. So we have to understand the nature of this enemy, and it is an enemy, and you have to understand the nature so that you apply the appropriate remedies. And I'm talking about legal remedies, but sometimes, you know, we're going to have to up the ante a little bit. And I think that's what the president is doing right now in terms of using the law, with everything within the law, to go after these individuals and to let them know that this is a new day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know what? That race card the left has always been playing, it's expired for real Americans. I think the only place you can cash the race card these days is over at MSNBS and CNN. Sheriff, President Trump reacting to the left's violence in our country, writing on Truth Social, quote, "I am pleased to inform our many USA patriots that I am designating Antifa, a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster, as a major terrorist organization. I will also be strongly recommending that those funding Antifa be thoroughly investigated in accordance with the highest legal standards and practices. Thanks for your attention to this matter." Sheriff, victims of Antifa in the United States are saying it's about time this happened. What do you say?
I've been saying that Antifa is a domestic terror organization for years now, so I'm glad to see the president is acting on this. Look, they check all the box under the definition of domestic terror. We don't have time to get into it, but I've read it, and Antifa matches all of that. I remember back in 2020 during the presidential debates between Joe Biden and then candidate Donald Trump, when the issue of Antifa came up, Joe Biden said he didn't know what Antifa was. It wasn't an organization. He said it was an idea, for heaven's sake. So, you know, now the federal government can utilize the resources available under the law, things like surveillance, subpoenaing records, because that's what's going to take to unearth these people, to find out who's financing them, bank records, checking text messages and emails to go after these individuals. And you want to do it, you want to dismantle, you want to disrupt their ability to be able to intimidate and coerce and create all the chaos that they are, you know, and then break it up just like you did with foreign terrorist organizations. You disrupt them. For right now, Antifa's been operating with no impunity and no interference, but that's about to change.